The cats that I was actually with, you know what I'm saying, I had heard one of the cats rapping one time in one of the songs talking about selling his soul for fast cars and riches for whatever reason. It came down to it that dudes actually started being used by demonic spirits, and these spirits started speaking through him, you know what I'm saying, devils started speaking through him. It was crazy, man. It was real though, you know what I'm saying, true story. It had nothing to do with no drugs or nothing like that. It was just straight crossroads, intersection of the natural realm, you know what I'm saying, and the spiritual realm, you know what I'm saying, butting heads, and I had to make my choice which way I was gonna go.
Jurors this morning have more insight about what happened in the moments after American sniper Chris Kyle was killed.
Eddie Ray Routh led police on a chase reaching speeds of 100 miles an hour, driving the pickup truck owned by Navy SEAL Chris Kyle. This video shown to jurors Thursday. The chase began after Routh rolled over spike strips laid down by police. At one point, a police car rammed into the truck. Routh was taken into custody shortly after. He told the court that Routh made a series of bizarre comments. He'd taken a couple of souls, and he had more souls to take. He'd taken a couple of souls, and he had more souls to take. And he had more souls to take.
One of the responding officers was wearing a body camera. Jurors could hear Routh saying, quote, "I can feel people feeding on my soul," and, quote, "I can feel people feeding on my soul," and he asks, quote, "Is the apocalypse upon us right now? The apocalypse upon us right now?"
I can read you some of the quotes. Police were talking to him before he took off, and these are some of the things that Routh is quoted as saying. He says, "I don't know if I'm going insane. Is this about like hell is, its work is walking on earth right now?" And then he goes on to say, "Is it voodoo that's upon us? Is it voodoo that's upon us and right now?" And then he goes on to say, "Is it voodoo that's upon us?" And finally he says, "Is the apocalypse on top of us right now?"
Good evening, everybody. Tonight we celebrate artists whose music and message help shape our culture. And together, tonight we celebrate artists whose music and message help shape our culture. And together we can change our culture for the better. I've said it before, I will say it again. We can't balance the budget on the backs of the very people who have borne the biggest brunt of this recession. Everyone's going to have to chip in. Everyone's going to have to chip in. I'll say it again. We can't balance the budget on the backs of the very people who of this recession. Everyone's going to have to chip in. Everyone's going to have to chip in. Chip in. Everyone's going to have to chip in. Biggest brunt of this recession. Everyone's going to have to chip in. Everyone's going to have to chip in. Only fair. Everyone's going to have to chip in. Everyone's going to have to chip in. Fair. Biggest brunt of this recession. Everyone's going to have to chip in. Everyone's going to have to chip in. Everyone's going to have to chip in. Everyone's going to have to chip in.
Maybe you saw the movie. You probably read the book. Now, imagine the Da Vinci Code in Washington.
Dear God.
That's Dan Brown's new book. And it may give you a new view of American history.
There was a statue that sat in the Capitol. It was George Washington as a god.
Tonight, an exclusive interview with Dan Brown and an extraordinary peek inside the secret ceremonies.
He drinks wine out of a skull, wine out of a skull,
and the
wine out of a skull,
and the monumental questions.
The world is a stranger place than we thought.
Of the mysterious society, some say, once ruled Washington and the world.
Sometimes it is said we have no secrets. Nothing could be further from the truth.
Washington and the world.
Sometimes it is said we have no secrets. Nothing could be further from the truth.
In search of the secrets of the lost symbol.
Good evening, everybody. Tonight we celebrate artists whose music and message help shape our culture.
Is Satan. It's true. Has to. This is the part where he pledges himself to Satan. If you play back that line, let me express, if you play it backwards, oh, it's just too dramatic, it's too dramatic. You have to hear it yourself. You will be shocked, I say.
Let me express self-esteem.
Many in the mainstream media for 4 years have tried to turn Barack Obama into a messiah, and to turn Barack Obama into a messiah. And those of us who said that have been either dismissed or laughed off or whatever. Here it is, a messiah, the second coming. Here it is, a messiah, the second coming. To turn Barack Obama into a messiah. And those of us who said that have been either dismissed or laughed off or whatever. Here it is, a messiah, the second coming.
Nein, natürlich dieser Messias. Dieser Messias. Natürlich dieser Messias.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Mainstream media for 4 years have tried to turn Barack Obama into a messiah. And those of us who said that have been either dismissed or laughed off or whatever. Here it is, a messiah, the second coming.
A quote today from Senator Barack Obama, which puzzled me. He said that we should have sex education in kindergarten. Education in kindergarten. He said that we should have sex education in kindergarten.
I will say it again. We can't balance the budget on the backs of the very people who have borne the biggest brunt of this recession. Everyone's going to have to chip in. Everyone's going to have to chip in.
Scientists have wired up a monkey with a neural interface again. A neural interface.
Culture for the better. Music and message help shape our culture.
Ellos son homosexuales, lesbianas, satanistas. Todo lo que produce Disney viene del infierno. Sus directores e empresarios, ¿qué ellos son? Ellos son homosexuales, lesbianas, satanistas. Todo lo que produce Disney viene del infierno, completamente del infierno. En la película de 101 Dalmatians, diablo. Y si tú inviertes, es devil. Cruella devil, Cruella diablo, guión vil. Si quitas el guión y une las dos sílabas, no es de vil, es devil. Cruella devil, Cruella diablo. Y si tú inviertes las palabras tendrás the cruel devil, el diablo cruel. Una de las cosas más importantes, hermanos, presta atención, aquí esta noche, es el miembro genital masculino erecto, es el pene del hombre. Este video de Little Mermaid de Disney es un video de pornografía infantil. En este video, la bruja le dice a la sirenita, para que protaga de Disney contra los cristianos. ¿Usted sabía que Disney dijo que para cada estúpido y ridículo cristiano que deja de ir al parque por el boicot que está haciendo las Asambleas de Dios y los bautistas, para cada cristiano, dijo ella, ridículo y necio que deja, Disney tiene 120,000 personas que van al parque por cada cristiano que no va?
Everyone's going to have to chip in. Everyone's going to have to chip in. The biggest brunt of this recession. Everyone's going to have to chip in. Everyone's going to have to chip in. That's only fair. That's the principle I'll be fighting for during the next phase of this process. Tonight we celebrate artists whose music and message help shape our culture. And together we can change our culture for the better. Whose music and message help shape our culture. And together we can change our culture for the better.
Edge.
Now, as we realize by being in homes, capacity to actually send signals about you in your living room. Now listen, I was able to see that television sets were actually watching people in their homes, monitoring their movements, monitoring their conversations.
More than just bringing you your favorite shows, it may be watching and recording your every move. Night on Your Side, Scott Wagoner tells us this smart TV has some people worried.
Since the late 1940s, families have gathered around the television set to watch their favorite shows. But now, in 2015, it appears the television is watching back. It's Samsung's Smart TV. It collects this information through a camera aimed at the viewer and microphones that pick up your conversation.
We should absolutely be concerned about this.
UC journalism professor Jeff Blevins advises you to read the small print.
Oftentimes I think we're not aware of exactly what it is that, that we're giving away or what the consequence of that might be.
Samsung.
Scott, cool. What are you doing? What?
Dude, check this out.
Give me the phone. What phone? Scott, I'm in the middle of teaching a lesson. Just give me the phone. I'm not doing anything, Mr. Do you want to go to the PRC? I'm paying attention. Scott, give me the phone now. Come on. Mr. Let's go. Can I at least have it back after class? I don't have time for this. You can't have this. Who are you texting? Nobody. You can see I was just turning it up. Take your You can see I was just turning it up. Take your phone back, Skylar.
Aumentar a variabilidade, que é o grande objetivo. Você, obviamente, tem capacidade de realizar essa variabilidade, correto? Então, olha só, presta atenção, porque a gente aqui não pode dar mole em uma situação como essa. Não pode dar mole em uma situação como essa.
Aware of exactly what it is that that we're giving away or what the consequence of that might be.
Samsung says the technology is designed to respond to your preferences. It can find your favorite shows, connect you to services it thinks you would like, and allows you to change its function with a wave of your hand.
So my freedoms and my patriotism were instantly being eroded from my understanding.
Because our rights contained in the Bill of Rights
do not come from the Constitution. They come from God. It's clearly stated in the country calls it the organic law of our country. And if they come from there, men can't take them away.
Our rights do not come from God.
And if they come from there,
rights do not come from God. Rights do not come from God.
For journalists in this country, the realization that the government is spying on their communications is becoming more and more common. That's according to a new study from the Pew Research Center. It reports that nearly 7 in 10 journalists believe that the Obama administration has in fact spied on them. But where is the media pushback against all of this?
Sobriety checkpoints. Thousands of motorists are stopped in them each year.
Good evening, how you doing?
Typically, drivers are asked to roll down the window and hand over ID. But more drivers are starting to challenge these DUI checkpoints.
A video making its way around the internet is advising motorists that at police DUI checkpoints like this one, motorists can simply communicate in writing.
More than 2 million people have watched the video. It shows somewhat surprised officers in Levy County, Florida, look at a flyer and examine identification with the window up.
I have my fair DUI flyer.
The flyer says, "I remain silent, no searches, I want my lawyer," along with sections of the motor vehicle law.
Listen to this one. This is going to have a whole bunch of you rolling your eyes this morning. There was a student at a Florida high school who was in trouble for simply saying, "God bless America," during the school
day. Millions learned they won't be receiving any water from the state.
A healthy and full lake in Northern California. There's only one problem. This picture is 3 years old.
And now I'm walking on top of that very same bridge. Take a look. It is a virtual desert. This is what drought looks like in the state of California.
On a farm in Rio de Janeiro state, healthy green corn stalks are disappearing. Brazil's worst drought in 80 years.
This is the first time it's been like this. We've had droughts in the region before, but nothing like this. This is the first drought we've had here, which has been really very difficult.
At this moment, what began to happen was the
outlook after the measuring the snowpack in the Sierra Mountains. The worst part is one of San Diego's main water sources.
You may have noticed I'm wearing short sleeves in the dead of winter. That's because it is hotter and drier than ever before.
January should have been the wettest month, but the supply fell back to 1/4.
Stretch of coast in New Zealand. Almost 200 pilot whales have beached themselves. Around 25 of the animals have already died and more are expected.
After a few